Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talking about a team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. So I've been kind of chronicling the different position groups here with the team the last couple of days. And right now, I'm going to combine the wide receivers and tight ends because there's not a lot of mystery going into the tight ends. That's pretty much set. But the wide receivers have a lot more question marks. And we're going to get to that. But before we do, I want to make sure everyone please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's an excellent way to support the channel. It's absolutely free to do, and it's the bare minimum you do to support the channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video. Okay, enough of that. So, main thing here, I want to talk about the tight ends first because the tight ends are pretty much locked in. Brock Bowers is the unquestioned number one. You have Michael Mayer as number 2/1A type thing, right? Because we don't know a lot of 12 personnel. And there's Ian Thomas. Ian Thomas, again, I said this before and I'll say it again. The absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. He wasn't really used as a receiving tight end back where he was with Carolina. Bring him into the fold here with the Raiders. And, you know, during minicamp and all that stuff, he looked pretty good. Not only was he a good blocker, but he was, you know, getting himself into routes and getting himself open and creating separation and catching everything that came his way. And that's really all you can ask for from a guy like Ian Thomas, who really hasn't shown a lot of acumen to be a pass receiver. That's going to change this season. I know for a fact it will, because I think we're going to play a lot more 12 personnel than what a lot of people think that we're going to run. I think it's going to be heavy run personnel because we're going to run the ball quite a bit, and not just with Ashton Genty. You know, there's Rusty, Raheem Mostert, and the other guys, and we talked about that in the running back, so we're not even going to talk about that again. I feel we're going to carry 3 tight ends. Is it possible for us to carry more? Sure, it's possible for us to carry 4 tight ends, but I don't know that Carter Runyon or Pat Conroy are going to be guys that are going to be really going to show more than some of the other guys at other positions, simply because they're going to be asked to do a lot. Tight ends on this team are going to be asked to do quite a bit. I feel the tight ends, no matter who it is, are going to be in motion a lot. They're going to be asked to do a lot of heavy blocking. And they're going to need to get open and be primary pass catchers because, honestly, it's going to be needed. When you bring in the linebackers from a heavy running attack, the first line of defense after that is going to be either a slot receiver or the tight end kind of get behind the linebackers up the seams, right? So I see the tight ends are going to be used quite a bit in this offense of Chip Kelly's. I don't know that Chip Kelly really cares who you throw the ball to. As long as they're open, you can scheme them up in a good matchup, right? So for right now, I think the position group of the tight ends is pretty much set. Okay, barring injury, knock on wood, no one gets injured. But unquestioned number 1 starter is going to be Brock Bowers. The 1A backup / if you want to call it, because I think he's going to play quite a bit and have a bigger role in previous years, is Michael Mayer. And then the 3rd string backup is going to be Ian Thomas, who's also going to get a lot of look in short yards and stuff like that. So that's the tight end group. It's quick, it's easy, but, you know, they are who they are, man. You know, it's pretty cut and dry. The only, I don't want to say a surprise, but look at it pleasantly, I should say. I'm not going to say surprise because Michael Mayer was a 2nd round pick. He should have been more of a part of the offense by now. The issues and all that stuff, we're going to talk about that another day. Michael Mayer, I think, in this offense with Chip Kelly is going to be a guy that's going to be used quite a bit. He may not get a ton of touches, but the touches that he does get are going to be big ones. They're going to be first downs. They're going to be touchdowns. So we're going to go ahead and move on from the tight end group and go to the wide receiver group, who have a lot more question marks. All right. First off, I'm going to say this. I like Jakobi Meyers a lot. When we first got Jakobi Meyers, I was on my other channel with the Windbags, I was singing the praises of Jakobi Meyers. I liked the move a lot more than other people did because I knew what Jakobi Meyers could do. I knew he was a technician running routes. I knew that him being alongside Davante Adams was going to just help him be a better target in the future. He didn't drop balls, right? He had no drops last year. He has really good hands. He knows how to get open. He's good after the catch. He's hard to bring down. He's got a lot of extra stuff to him. He can play a lot of trick plays. He can throw the pass and all that stuff. So when I say this about Jakobi Meyers, know that it's coming from a very good place. Okay, I don't know that Jakobi Meyers is a number 1 receiver in the NFL. I said it. I'm not trying to hate on the man. Okay. When you take a look at a lot of the looks that the defense gave the Raiders last season, a lot of those number one cover guys were actually on Brock Bowers, or they were shaded towards his direction. But that's our number one right now, is Jakobi Meyers. And you know what? I'm okay with it. Even if he's not a true quote unquote number one guy, or you can just throw out in the island or whatever, I think he's going to play a lot more in the slot this season, which I actually think he's better in the slot than anywhere else. But Jakobi Meyers, as far as the wide receivers go, I think he's the best guy we have for his versatility, his ability to get open, and his hands. Excellent work all across the board. He's also a good blocker. Now, let's move over to one side when we have Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker heading into his third season. I like Trey Tucker coming out of Cincinnati. I felt that I read up on him a little bit, and he was a sleeper guy. He didn't run really, really fast in the combine. I don't know if he was injured or was some issue there. I'm not sure. But he ran blazing fast at his pro day in Cincinnati. That's what we were looking for, and that's what we got. Everyone was shaking their heads. I mean, a lot of people were shaking their heads when we picked Trey Tucker, and we're like, well, who's this guy, right? He's, we had him as a 5th-round pick or a 4th-round grade or whatever, but we picked him up, and I'm like, dude, this guy, he can get it done in the return game. He's super fast. His route tree isn't huge, right? He needs to learn to run a little bit more of the intermediate routes as well, which is one of the things that he needs to focus on. That's one of the things I think everyone in Raider Nation should keep an eye on. We already have another guy, and we'll get to him in a second, who can take the top off the ball and who is a little bit more equipped physically for those down the field 50-50 balls, okay? We need Trey Tucker to use his speed to create separation. One of the things that he didn't do last season. I'm not saying he didn't have a rough go, because Trey Tucker did have a rough go last season. If you have your quarterbacks are a couple of, 3 basically backup quarterbacks. You had Minshew, you had O'Connell, and you had Ritter throwing you the ball. He played almost every single snap. He was one of the worst. And I'm not going to say he's the worst receiver out there, but his numbers were some of the poorest as far as routes run versus targets. So his percentage of targets per route run were one of the worst in the league. He was always out there, which is a good thing. He's durable, but he didn't really get targeted very much. One of the reasons for that is his route tree was not very diverse. He ran a lot of the deep slants, the corner routes. He ran a lot of 9 goes. It's like he just was like a guy that kind of took the defense with him. Well, that seemed to work out a little bit because there was a lot more open space for Brock Bowers. And if teams didn't play him properly, they threw him deep if the quarterback saw him. But you have guys who really didn't throw the deep ball very well at quarterback, something that's not going to be the case with Geno Smith. On top of that, Trey Tucker was one of the worst players in the NFL in creating separation per route. Yards of separation per route run was not very good. Now, I'm not saying that he wasn't open and he wasn't targeted when he was open. I'm not saying that. I'm saying overall, the route tree that he was, and I'm not saying, again, absence of evidence is an evidence of absence. He just needs to show that he can run a more diverse route tree. And I think that's going to be something that Chip Kelly's going to ask of him, because we already have a guy who's going to run those deep routes and take the safeties and stuff like that. We have one of those guys who's a better equipped, like I said, physically for that. For Trey Tucker to really kind of break out this season, he's not going to be a breakout guy for the NFL, I don't think, but a breakout season as far as the Raiders go, he needs to get better at those intermediate routes. He needs to get better at using his speed to create distance. One of the things that I really liked about Donte Thornton, and we're going to talk about him in a second, is when he runs routes very similar to like a Julio Jones. He ran them like he was trying to block somebody. Like he ran directly at these DBs, like he was going to run through them, forced them to create separation, and then he made his breaks. Those are things that Trey Tucker needs to learn how to do. Even though he's not as imposing physically, his speed is definitely imposing. So he needs to get better at selling and sinking whenever he wants to make a break, because he needs to make sure that he gets that separation for the break and has a separation for a quarterback to be able to get him the ball. If he can do that consistently with different types of routes, not just the comebacks and the goes and the slants, but other things, if he can do multiple routes, if he can run multiple types of routes in the route tree, to be able to consistently create separation, there is no reason why he won't add to the numbers that he had last season. Now, moving to the other side is Donte Thornton. Donte Thornton is similar to Trey Tucker. And again, I'm going to say one more time, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. It was pretty clear if you were to watch any of the Tennessee tape last season, they were using Donte Thornton as a decoy the majority of the time. Now, whenever he was one-on-one, whenever they didn't roll a safety over the top, he beat the corner. Like, I didn't see an instance that he wasn't double-teamed where he didn't beat the corner clean. Now, did he get the ball every single time? No, not necessarily. But there's a reason why he led the country with 25 yards per reception. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why he had, 26 catches and 6 of them were touchdowns? That's why he led the country in 50-yard reception. There's a reason for that. Because if you don't play Donte Thornton properly, he will make you pay. It's a huge question mark. Can he transform what he did and take what he did in the college ranks to the pro ranks? There's a couple of things in his favor. The quarterback play in the NFL is going to be better than what he had at Tennessee. I'm not saying I like that kid. He's over at UCLA now. I like the kid and everything, and that's fine. But as far as defensive recognition, post snap reads, accuracy, and all that stuff, I think Geno Smith has that in spades. Okay, so he's going to have a more accurate, more smarter, headier quarterback throwing him the ball. There's that. Also, I'll take Chip Kelly against anybody as far as an offensive coordinator goes. So you put those things together, along with having better teammates around him, like a Jacoby Myers, like a Brock Bowers, who are going to create a lot of diversion and get a lot of attention on their side. If you single cover, I don't care who you are, if you single cover a 6'5" guy that runs a 4.3 40 with good hands, it's going to be problems. Okay? So the question is, can he play, can he produce consistently enough to make teams, to force teams to pay more attention to Donte Thornton? Can he do that? It's a big question mark. A lot of people are saying, yes, of course you can, blah, blah, blah. I believe in this and that. Great. Your belief, you can wish in one hand and you can crap in the other. All right. You can see which one gets full first. We need to see it on the field. All right. That's where it counts. So we haven't seen it yet, but I am myself hopeful that we can have it. But I'm not going to stamp put a seal on it and say, yeah, it's definitely going to happen. These are one of the things that we need to focus on when it comes to the wide receiver group. If that were to happen, it's going to open up this offense like crazy, because that's going to be a guy on the outside in Donte Thornton who is going to command a double team. Then you have another guy in Brock Bowers who's just going to eat you alive across the middle if you don't double team him. Then you have a guy like Jacoby Myers who can get open on anybody, and a guy like Trey Tucker with the speed that he has. This wide receiver group can be a very good group. It can be a top quarter of the league group. It definitely can, because of what these different guys do well. Not only that, but what these different receivers and targets do well complement one another. Does that make sense? Their strengths complement one another. You don't have a bunch of guys that do the same thing. You got guys that do different things in different ways, and you're able to put all that together, and you can really make a puzzle that's really hard for the defense to figure out. On top of that, there's Jack Besh, who's coming in, who's going to be kind of a backup role to anybody he could play. He's like a Jacoby Myers-esque type of guy. If you take like a Brock Bowers and you have a baby with a Hunter Renfrow, that's pretty much who Jack Besh is. He's not quite as big as Brock Bowers. He's not quite as shifty as a Hunter Renfrow, but he's bigger. He's got great hands as well. He knows how to get open. And after the catch, this guy is an animal. Jack Besh, when you see him with pads on, you're not going to see one guy get him to the ground. It's going to be multiple guys every single time. So you get a guy like Jack Besh who's going to mix in. So you get a guy off the bench. Let's say we run a lot of 3 receiver sets. You bring a guy off the bench like Jack Besh who's going to be tough. You know, he runs good routes. He doesn't drop balls. He's hard to bring down. And you can just pluck anyone out. Put him in for Donte Thornton. It's still a great 3. You put him in for Tucker. Really good 3. 2 rookies, but still an excellent 3. You put him in on the slot and you spell Jacoby Myers for a little bit. You got a lot of young guys out there, but guess what? They're all very talented. There's a lot of question marks here as far as, can Trey Tucker take that next step as a wide receiver and be more of a threat on a bulk and the majority of the route tree to be able to really keep these defenses guessing. I think a lot of times these DBs were keying in on certain things because they knew that he wasn't going to run such a diverse route tree. So if he's able to do that and really put those extra routes in his back pocket and be able to attack the defense with those, it's going to pay big dividends because of his speed. On top of that, you got a steady Eddie like Jacoby Myers. I have no issues with him. I think he's going to be great. Donte Thornton. If Donte Thornton is able to put it together, they're going to spoon feed him. Again, Pete Carroll said this over and over again. We're going to find out what these kids do well, and we're going to ask them to do just that. So whatever Donte Thornton does the best, they're going to ask him to do it over and over and over. Give him some playing time. Give him some experience. Give him some confidence doing what he does well. Then they're going to expand him over the course of the season. Same thing goes with Jack Bech. They're going to mix him in. He's going to get plenty of targets. They're going to give him the ball in positions to succeed. Chip Kelly is a master at getting the ball to players in space where they can make plays. This receiving group and tight end group together, I think they complement each other very well. The issue that we're going to have is, can they be consistent? Brock Bowers, is he going to be consistent? Yes. Jacoby Myers, is he going to be consistent? Yes. Those are really the only two yeses you have as far as consistency in these two combined groups of pass catchers, right? Michael Mayer's got some, question marks. Ian Thomas really hasn't been asked to do a lot outside of the run game. You got the two rookies, and you got Trey Tucker. These are guys that are, I didn't even mention Tommy Mellott. Tommy Mellott is a receiver. I don't see him getting a lot of touches on the offense initially. Maybe if he gets some experience in special teams and he gets, a little bit of a shine on him from that, he'll be able to get some touches here and there. I really do like Tommy Mellott. I think Tommy Mellott, and I've said it a few times, I think the comparison to Julian Edelman is a little bit of a lazy comparison, only because they were both college quarterbacks who became receivers in the NFL. That's really the only thing that's similar about them. Tommy Mellott is much faster, okay? He's much quicker. He's much more of a running back with the ball in his hands than anything else. Tommy Mellott had over 3,500 yards rushing in college. Okay, so this guy is not just a guy that you can just go out there and you throw him a couple of passes here and there. No, you can use him with a lot of different things. You could use him very similarly to how the 49ers used Deebo Samuel, as far as like some pitching him out, getting the ball out in space, being a running back at times, taking a lot of screen passes, a lot of short passes in space. That's what Tommy Mellott can bring. Basically, make a play like a punt return. Get him the ball in space where he could make one guy miss and then take off. That's what I think Chip Kelly could do really well as far as schematic-wise. And that's, I think, where Tommy Mellott can really shine as a player is give him some easy catches, some easy plays to make where he can get the ball in space and just go downfield. Those guys mixed together are going to be something that I think is going to be a big improvement over last season, because too many times we were just kind of stalled either in the middle of the field or we just didn't have an answer to what the defense was doing to us. And too often we were settling for field goals instead of touchdowns. With the additions of, let's talk about running backs for a bit. With Ashton Genty's got a nose for the end zone. Raheem Mostert has a nose for the end zone. We got guys like, Donte Thornton has a nose for the end zone, right? You get guys like Tommy Mellott who has a nose for the end zone. I don't see Tommy Mellott being a big contributor early on offense, maybe on special teams. But as the year goes along, Pete Carroll said it himself, we want to give these young guys confidence. And at the later part of the season, we're going to ask them to do more because we're going to rely on them to do more, because now they're more unpredictable, right? Because they're using more players in different ways. That's a lot, man. I've been talking for 20 minutes now just about the receiving group and the tight ends. And I didn't really talk a lot about the tight ends because they're pretty much straight, pretty cut and dry. There's a few question marks that are very important, and they're going to be answered pretty quick because one or two of these guys are going to start as far as these rookies. And it's going to be a big eye-opener to both Chip Kelly and opposing defenses what these young guys can do on the receiving core. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to this video. It's an excellent way to support the channel. It's absolutely free to do, and it's the bare minimum you do support the channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video. Guys, you guys are doing great, man. Keep killing it. We're closer, right up to or right past 2,700. We're zooming right along. Again, I went on Pharaoh's podcast twice. I'm not really advertising this anywhere else. I'm just with you guys, just the bros, right? Just Raider Nation, us here, just doing it grassroots. I'm doing my part by creating this content for you guys and giving you guys a video every single day. I need you guys to help me out, man. I need you guys to share this to your socials. I need you guys to hit your notifications, like and comment and subscribe. I need you guys to do that for me to help me out, please. I'm doing my part. You guys do yours. And also, I need to make sure you guys are telling your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody. Raiders versus the world is the greatest thing going in Raider Nation today. All right, guys, that's my time. Till next time, everybody. Peace. Hey, Raider Nation. Thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button. Drop a comment. Make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.